You all begin in a sprawling port city on the northwest coast of Kijani, known as Dar el Bida. Regularly referred to as Dar-el, D-A-R-E-L. It's a nexus of trade between the Heldorans, the Latvian Empire, and the Keshians, right? They're all, those three nations use the place as kind of like a go-between for all their sort of economic interactions and stuff, and so it is, because of that, a place of extreme wealth. It's because of the wealth and the fact that the buildings are traditionally decorated with a kind of a bluish sort of aesthetic, painting and scaling and stuff like tiling, that they call it the City of Sapphires. Now, to compare this, Dar-el is like, you can compare it to Casablanca, for instance. You can compare it to Monaco, would be a good example of, sort of mash all that stuff together, right? And during the Great War, it was one of the few Kijani city-states, right, in the Free Nations, or what would become the Free Nations, to remain neutral to both sides. So they got a lot of money, like profiteering off of the war and everything like that, and selling to both sides, and but in the process, that made Dar-el a place of like spies and industrial espionage, assassinations, double dealings, triple dealings, that sort of thing. Now, today in 1280 FK, if I remember correctly, Dar-el has a reputation for being a place where you can buy anything, as long as you have the right, you have the money. It's a place of danger and intrigue. It's an exotic city that's all about wealth and danger in equal measure. And it's divided up into 8 main districts. And depending on what district you're in, the place could look, well-policed and picturesque, or basically like a smoggy slum. Right. Mm-hmm. So the wealth is not evenly distributed, to give an example.
Oh, yeah.
So a lot of you are here in Dar-el on your own various business, which is what exactly? Why are you in Dar-el in Kijani?
You're trying to find one of those bombs that you used it, aren't you?
Equipment.
Dieter is here on a trade mission for someone else. Since you can get pretty much anything here, this is a very special pickup of sorts.
Is this like a very dusty area, or like? Is this like...
It's a port city.
Okay.
It's on the coast. So...
Humid.
Yeah, I would put it like... Again, sort of like MASH, Casablanca, and Monaco.
Is Monaco
Havana?
Southern France, right? Not like... That's not Morocco, which is northern
Not
Africa.
Morocco, which is northern Africa. No, it's Monaco, yeah.
Monaco,
And then I would put Havana in there as well, you know what I mean? It's that kind of like...
My idea for her is she's kind of like a merchant princess, so she's probably looking for new trade deals.
Okay.
Which they probably shouldn't have sent her since her president.
Sure, yeah. Maybe they're doing it in sort of a backwards way. They're like, maybe she'll beat the deals out of them. What about
Mosi?
Mosi.
Mosi's here because you can get equipment that you can't get elsewhere.
Sure. You could go down, a certain alleyway in Watai or whatever, and pick up whatever you needed, right? Because the police don't really go there very often. Okay.
Laws will not hamper innovation.
So that means that a lot of you are not, despite you being from Kijani, Kijani is a big place with a lot of independent nations working at. So this isn't your place. This is just something it's in your home country, right? So to speak. The rest of you are foreigners, right?
Dirty.
Clean, I'll have you know.
Well groomed.
Not smoking the reefer, I guess. No, we're not dirty.
So,
we're not cops.
Dieter, as you are flying in your freighter airship, ready to dock into the sort of with the waves lapping and some smoke rising, the sort of picturesque coastal city, at least the picturesque part as you're coming in of Darel. Your radio equipment in the cockpit sparks off and is receiving an incoming transmission.
Walk over and grab the radio. Give it a quick little burst to let somebody know I'm listening.
Hello?
Yeah?
Is that Dieter, my friend? It's good to see you after so long.
Yeah. This is Dieter of Taschengeld.
Yes, I know who you are. You do remember me, don't you?
It has been some time.
Oh, yes, it was a couple of years ago. It was just before the Great War broke out. Yes, made travelling very difficult. Anton, you remember? Anton Finsbury?
Yes, Anton, I remember you.
Now, Anton is a person who runs a somewhat small but profitable import-export business here in Darel. Specifically, his office, his shipping company, is in a building in Sweet Hills, which is basically one of the primary districts in the city and is the domain of international traders. That is the picturesque, well-maintained, well-policed part of town, right? Yes, I noticed that you were coming in today, and I thought that since we're friends from old times, that perhaps I could bother you with perhaps a favour.
Oh yeah, I'm ahead of schedule, so I will have some free time to help.
Very good. Now, I'm afraid that I've had a spot of difficulty here. It seems that, earlier this morning, apparently my office was broken into.
Oh my.
Now, I know that you used to do a little bit of, information gathering in your time.
Mm-hmm.
I thought that you might be able to help me with my little issue. I'm keen not to involve the police, you understand, because have you ever been to Darel before?
No, this is my first visit.
Well, I should let you know that the place is incredibly corrupt, especially in terms of the police force. If I get them in here, who knows how much property or just pure money I'm going to lose in the red tape that ensues and the bribery and so on and so forth. So I need someone I can trust.
Better the one-time fee, yeah. That
Yes.
makes sense.
Now, if you can come down to Finsbury Shipping, down in Sweet Hills, you're looking for a 2-story building, whitewashed, big, large double doors, painted blue, and you'll see our motto on there and our signage and so on. If you'll come down here as soon as you can, I will be ever so grateful.
I will be there as soon as I land.
Excellent. Thank you so much, Dieter.
See you in a bit, Anton. Alright. Let's land these bucket of bolts.
2 hours later.
Trying to hit that thing.
We see Dieter's airship slowly making its way down to one of the docks on Sweet Hill, and workers are getting ready to sort of tie the thing down and moor it, essentially. What is Nadia doing in Darel? Where is she? What is she doing?
Well, what's the border like between this place and Keshi? Is it like a sea border, or would you go by
Keshi
ship?
and Kajani are like 2 different, basically like continents, essentially. So you would have had to have gone over the sea to get here.
So
You probably arrived in the port city, right? Now, Kesh is like due east of Kajani. So here's Kajani and here's Kesh, but there is a sizable portion of water what they call the Yalkut Sea that you have to pass to get.
So it's a
Over
sea.
there.
So, is there still sea travel on this place?
Of course, yeah.
So I imagine she would be docking in a nice luxury liner.
Sure. A classic,
Three
luxury
star.
liner coming in with its heavy smokestacks. Comes in and gets tied off at one of sort of the larger jetties in near Sweet Hills, and you see that the gangplank, I guess it would be more extravagant than a gangplank. What do you call that when it's
Like
a
a
cruise? Yeah, the
Ramp,
the departure ramp falls down, and the rich and well-to-do that were also on your liner are all heading down with their parasols and their fine suits. And
I go to the cargo bay to get my motorcycle out.
okay, there's a gentleman with grease paint on and some heavy overalls. He takes a look at your credentials and gives you the okay. Rolls up the steel shutters, and sure enough, there's your sleek Art Deco style motorcycle inside waiting for you.
Okay, so is there like a separate ramp for that I can just drive that out?
No, it's the
Probably
warehouse
around it.
itself is on ground, so it's like I'm presuming you had it flown here
Okay,
rather than carrying it in the boat.
okay, yeah, that works too.
Yeah.
So yeah, I go to get my motorcycle.
Okay.
Sea
You
air would
board?
be hell on that.
It turns on and purrs, I should say. Pours out oil. There's suddenly a
I need
massive
to find a
fire.
mechanic.
Which way is it supposed to be spelled? It's spelled two different ways.
It's just a typo.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, so you rev it to life, and you drive down into Sweet Hills and take a good eyeful of the picturesque scenery as you see these sort of almost this kind of
Get some drum.
Havana-esque kind of almost like Latin island vibe with sections of like sort of African symbolism and these sort of big shades of various sort of colors of blue and everything like that. The place looks like a paradise. So, where are you headed, by the way, on your motorcycle? What appointment are you keeping? Or
I imagine there's some kind of broker in the city that handles trade deals and that my family uses, so I'm probably going to his office.
Okay, yeah, you're gonna head. You're heading to the residential district in the north, Bustani Za. And the residents there are invariably wealthy, and your broker lives there and conducts his business out of his personal office. Okay, Mosi, where are you?
I'm probably at either like some open markets, trying to like haggle with some fruit.
So you're in the Rosewater district, in one of its large open air marketplaces. There is a fellow in a sort of a long, multicolored robe and a sort of a head wrapping who's actively arguing with you about the price.
A durian.
I'm going to $4.
$2.5.
$3.
Slaps the money down.
Catch our business with you. Curls it up and then hands you. What were you buying?
Some sort of like fruit or
A durian.
I mean, it's a pretty sizable fruit. It's like, the size of, like a little bigger than a pineapple, but yeah.
Should be jackfruit.
Please say a durian.
It's jackfruit.
Oh, dang it.
Durian is disgusting.
That's why I wanted him to.
Is that
You like
released
bite
or
into
no?
it, immediately vomit.
Like that? Is that?
Well, this is Darel's
Yes.
kind of a melting pot anyway.
And
They
it's
got all
also
kinds of
it's
stuff.
port city. You can get whatever.
Yeah. It's covered in spines and smells like death.
It
Who
does,
doesn't
yeah.
want one?
You are making your
When
way
it's opened.
as you turn and you've got your fruit. Streams of people are making their way past. You smell hookah smoke and sort of the sea air coming in off of the coast. All manner of sort of smoked meats and various sort of tropical fruits and things like that. The place is almost sort of sensorily overwhelming. Okay. Back to our friend Dieter. So you have docked your airship, and how are you making your way over to the Finsbury Shipping Company?
I gonna hail a cab.
Okay. So you hail a cab.
Excuse me, cabby. Could you take me to? What is it? Not Sweetwater. No, yeah, Sweetwater.
Sweet Hills.
Could you take me to the Sweet Hills district? There's a importer by the name of Anton. I need to speak
Senor, you're in it.
Oh, are you familiar with Anton? He's an importer, exporter in this district.
No.
Just that moment of like, probably should have wrote that down.
You have address?
No.
Okay.
Yeah.
What's house business?
Business, 2 stories. I look around, and as mentioned, this is like a blue painted city, so I'm like,
Well, there's splashes
Probably
of
not
blue
gonna-
everywhere, like
okay.
white stone and like all manner of.
That's where the sleep broke into.
painted blue?
Senor, you have to narrow that down.
It has a sign out front. How about we go for a drive?
Yeah. Okay. Works for me. He ushers you in back and says that it's going to cost $1 per 2 miles travel.
We'll see how long this takes. Gonna see a bit of the district, I assume.
Okay. So the cabbie starts the car,
10 feet.
drives through the streets as people are moving by with carts and on bicycles and everything like that. You are making your way through what feel like busy and not packed streets.
Dieter's kind of going between the right-hand side and left-hand side, kind of trying to look out and spot this building,
Okay, well, I'll
which
tell
he's
you what.
gotten a description of, but...
Why don't you give me an awareness check? How about that?
Alright, it's intellect 3, it's untrained, so 5 plus.
Yes.
We're looking for 1 success.
1 success. Very good.
Not bad. I'll take it.
So, as you are winding through Sweet Hills, you realize that. So you catch after about 10 minutes, you realize that you're heading up the same slanted street hill for a second time. Yeah. And you realize, cresting over the corner, you see this this building, this sort of whitewashed building with these large double doors that have been painted blue, and on it, in sort of a cursive style, a fancy sort of calligraphic font, you see written Finsbury Shipping, and you see the motto, anything from anywhere to anywhere.
Cabby, this is the spot.
What's that?
Up ahead, here.
Oh! Yeah. Si, senor. Drives it. Parks the car. Sort of puts his hand out expectantly.
Peel out.
You see that the
Probably
The meter.
the meter is actually reading
$500.
it's reading $10.
for 10 minutes of driving.
You drove through the same street a lot.
Yeah. I'll peel off the 10 and hand it to him and say, keep the change, as if implying,
Right.
but not saying. And then get out and go.
Rides off.
The implication is you charge too much.
Settle the belt a little bit. I check the quick draw holster of the pistol, and then just kind of got the sword kind of through a belt. Just kind of readjust everything and straighten up.
You see a
before-
couple of kids
knocking on the door.
with a soccer ball making their way down the sidewalk before you make your way up the stairs, and you're knocking on the little double doors there.
Thump, 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 thump.
Takes a few minutes, but it's answered by Anton himself, who you somewhat remember. He's a thin, neatly dressed man, late 40s. He's got this straight gray hair, hazel eyes, and you remember this from the last time you met. He has a obviously visible small scar, about like an inch long, along his chin vertically, around which is sort of his goatee grows, right? So it's very obvious. You see him in what, sort of like a casual fedora and a fancy suit. Well, I would say a nice suit, clearly like
Tailored.
it's clearly like three-figure suit, you know what I mean? Dieter, come in, please. Yes.
Ah, yes. Good to see you.
He waves you in. He looks a little nervous, a little sweaty. He leads you through this large room, which is filled almost to the brim with these crates and boxes, neatly stacked, but the place is filling up fast. He takes you up this short wooden staircase into his office, which has got sort of a lazy rotary fan moving around. The place is like mostly sort of some organic wood and lacquered floor and so on and so forth. As soon as you enter the room, this acrid smell hits your nose. That, if you're not mistaken, is cordite. And sure enough, you catch a rather large-sized safe in one corner of the office, whose door hangs on one hinge, and you can see the interior has been picked clean. You see Anton take a seat behind his desk and put his fedora on top and sort of gesture towards it. Well, there's my problem.
That is quite the problem.
That's all.
Looks, at first glance, rather professional.
Yes, that's proper explosive work. Yes.
I'm going to try to make a demolitions check to see if I can pick up anything before we really get this conversation started.
Sure, yeah.
I'm actually trained in.
Hey.
So 3 and a, 4 higher is good? Good. 2 successes on that one.
2 successes. Okay. So taking a look at the remains of taking a look at the safe, it's still intact, but the door is barely hanging on. You see that based on the sort of the residue that's still there, the kind of stresses that were done to the safe's door, and as you're looking very carefully, you see what looks like a chunk of the remains of a stick of dynamite, like just the very smidgen, but you're able to pick that up and see. So you're looking at like what is probably consumer grade, like standard issue TNT. It got lit, placed, blow the door of the safe open, and the contents were then extracted. In fact, you've got enough of this piece of TNT that you could, with an expert's help, maybe identify it as, a particular kind of TNT. Or
If it came from certain areas. Well, you may be in luck. And I'll hold it up a little bit. It looks like somebody was using dynamite, TNT, but they were not removing stumps.
Oh
This
dear.
does not appear to be military grade, so we don't have to worry about it being leftovers from the war, which is good.
Yes. Listen, Adita, I'll be very straight with you. I'm rather worried about the theft. You understand? Because
Can tell, yes.
well, that's just very hot.
Should wash the face.
Yes, of course,
good.
I'll do that right away. There was a very important object inside, which is worth a considerable amount to my employers.
Ah, yes. I see.
Enough that not recovering the object could
Put you in more than a bit of a bind.
could sink Finsbury and suppliers
Yes.
completely. Shipping, whatever the hell my business is called. Finsbury Shipping.
Well, if we're dealing with recovery, I alone will not be enough.
Yes, that's fair. Yes, you'll need some
You wouldn't happen to
wheeling
know...
and dealing.
Yes, anyone either in the city or perhaps foreign mercenaries who maybe owe you a favor or could deal with an import or export. I do not know your business as well as you, but being more on the trade side of things, merchant.
I'll make some phone calls. I tell you what, I'll ring some folks up and see if I can get some people to assist you. In the meantime, why don't you go downstairs and talk to my
Receptionist?
No, gone for the day. I sent her home after I noticed this whole business. She actually hadn't been in for quite a while. She'd been a little ill, and so
I see.
the likelihood of her being responsible for this is very slim indeed. No, you go down and talk to my warehouse woman, essentially, Nadia. She's the forewoman of the warehouse, and she should be able to help you with details about who came in and when. In fact, she was the one who noticed the theft in the first place. She usually comes in much earlier than I do in order to get the day started, you understand. She called me rather quickly, and I came by and saw the result. Yes, now I'll make those calls if you'll excuse me.
Of course. Head downstairs.
So, whatever your name is.
Nadia.
Sorry, Nadia. So Nadia, you are at the home of your broker friend in Bustanizan. It's almost a mansion-like place. This district is entirely the playground of the wealthy. There's a very nice park, Sharati Park, in the center of the district that you pass by with all these decorative lakes and shrubberies and copses. It looks rather picturesque. You pass by that and you head to your broker's home, and he meets you at the door. Nadia, what can I do for you?
Well, you know how it is. The folks send me down here to see what you got for me.
Yes, of course. Come in, please.
Yes.
You'll be wanting any refreshments?
Not just yet.
Of course. Suddenly you hear what sounds like a bell ringing in the distance, on like the second floor or so. Will you excuse me for a moment?
Of course.
You see him walk up the stairs and at an adjacent table pick up the headset of a rotary phone. Hello? Anton, how are you, my friend? Uh-huh. I see. Well, you see him actually look back down over the balcony towards you. Actually, I might have someone in mind. Yes, I'll call you back. Yeah. Salam alaikum. He makes his way back down the stairs. So, my friend, I have perhaps more interesting business for you, eh?
Oh, I'd like to hear about that.
I know nothing would please you more than to sit here in the lobby of my home and bark all day about trade deals and negotiations and such. But I have something more interesting for you. Got to see my friend Mr. Fensbury.
Mm-hmm.
Apparently, he has been the victim of a theft recently. And he is in need of some people to shake some trees and perhaps result in some coconuts falling, which may contain answers.
Well, I am good at shaking trees.
That is what I thought. I thought that perhaps you would be appropriate for this.
Okay. And where can I meet this friend of yours?
He has a shipping company you'll find in Sweet Hills. Big place, blue doors, ostentatious writing on front. You can't miss it.
Mm-hmm. Well, you know how it is. You find the contracts, work out the details, and I just sign them. So
Sure. Usually these contracts do not involve perhaps you shaking trees vigorously, you understand?
yeah, you find me something to please the parents. Why I do this other business?
No problem. Yes. Yes, they will be very pleased.
Okay.
But something very profitable but very dull. Yeah.
Right. Well, adieu, my friend, and I shall be off.
Good evening. And so you just leave. There's a small the docent at the door walks you through and out towards your motorcycle. You see him as he waves you back. He goes back up the stairs and picks up his phone again. So Mosi, are you still in the open air market in Rosewater?
If you need me to, I'm probably back in either like a shack or wherever I'm doing my own work. It's easier for you.
You are in the back room of a small tavern in Rosewater that you regularly rent out to use as a kind of makeshift workshop. You hear what sounds like some kind of argument going on, something about swing music being better than folk music or something. There's some kind of really intense argument going on. And more than a few musical terms are being slurred, so you know it's serious business. You hear the wire mesh door separating your workshop from the bar proper. You hear it rattle.
Yes, I'm coming.
You open up and you see that Taji, the bartender, with his sort of his dirty apron and his bald, what's the name of the guy from Punch Out?
Old bull.
Soda Popinski looking head, bald with a big mustache and everything, greets you at the door. There's a phone call for you.
Go over, pick it
Make
up.
her at the bar, pick it up. Yes, hello?
Mosi,
You're Mosi Okpara, is that right?
correct?
Yes. I am calling on behalf of Mr. Anton Fensbury. He is in need of someone with your expertise, perhaps, and I was thinking that if you are not busy at this current hour, perhaps you could meet Mr. Fensbury at Fensbury Shipping, and we would provide compensation for you.
I look at like what would be my checkbook and realize I'm like behind
Your
on
wallet,
rent.
you just like the moth flies out.
Yes.
Excellent, and he gives you the address, and you can't miss it. It's in Sweet Hills. I would be very pleased if you would do so.
I'll write down and don't worry, I'm gonna get your rent soon.
Taji is just looking at you with like these dead eyes. I've heard of that before.
I'm getting it right now.
You can slap ball all you want, unless I see money underhand. I'm throwing away all of this stuff, this junk, all of the things, the sheet metal, the little things, the washers.
If you're gonna throw them out, at least try to like get them for money. You know, just
No, out completely.
They're worth more than just
garbage immediately. No money for you, no money for me. You understand how that works?
Taji is
Soon.
amazing.
Soon, you're a balloon.
Walk out.
Okay.
Knuckles back on.
Dieter, you are downstairs. You see that in this sort of like in the sort of warehouse section, you see that there is a tall, statuesque Kajami woman, messy auburn hair, large brown eyes, kind of a roundish nose, wearing some what they call hard-wearing clothing, like very clearly, so thick overalls and like shirts, all work gear. With a clear hip flask of something sort of poking out in one of the pockets. She is actively lighting a cigarette and sees you approaching and gives you what is a friendly smile. And she gestures and then takes a drag.
Are you Nandi?
Yes, how can I help you?
Your boss, Anton, sent me down here to ask questions about going-ons today.
Yes, the robbery.
With your motorcycle.
Excuse me?
The robbery.
Yes.
Let's follow the same car.
The simple question is, who all came here today?
Today, I came in here early to unlock the place and make sure we're ship-shape for today. I discovered as I was going upstairs to unlock Mr. Fensbury's office that the safe was broken into, and I called him, and then he came right away. We're the only people who are in today. Now, what is more important, I think, is that there are only 3 people who knew what was in that safe.
I discovered I'm not perfect.
Who would those people be?
Myself,
Yeah.
Mr. Fensbury, of course,
Hmm?
and Nadesh Bello. He is Mr. Fensbury's accountant.
That's why you have the sidecar.
Ah.
To keep it up.
We're not going to get into any cases because we do.
So he would be aware of the danger this item would pose to the shipping company if it were to go missing.
That I'm not sure of. I know that he would have seen it and known, as I do, that it is quite valuable.
Hmm. You wouldn't happen to know where he lives?
Yes. She puts the cigarette in, pulls out a scrap of paper, and takes a bit of charcoal and hands it to you.
Give it a quick once over just to make sure I can read it.
I haven't seen him today, so I would expect you to go there.
That would make sense, yes.
You hear a knocking at the double doors. Excuse me a minute.
Of course.
Opens the doors. The 2 of you standing outside, kind of awkwardly because you've arrived at roughly the same time. Can I help you?
Here for business.
Yes.
So am I.
I was told to see an Anton.
Come in. She waves you in, and she actually gestures for you to follow her, and she makes her way back over to you. Do you? Is with you? Huh?
I believe they are now.
Mosi.
Mosi. Shakes your hand. And Dieter.
Nadia. She just kind of salutes you.
Kind of look down at my hand to make sure it's not dirty or something, and then look back.
It might be dirty now.
I mean, it could be. Yeah, I don't know. Is it?
Maybe it might.
It's your call.
I always see myself as being dusty.
Okay, I wasn't sure if this was dust or
Like,
perpetual
Schroeder?
engine or engine grease.
Like what?
Like Pigpen?
Yes, Pigpen.
Yeah,
Sorry.
there you go.
Schroeder's the piano guy.
Because I always figure I'm that kind of dusty, thin clothes, that kind of round hat, always having goggles on me and
Spend a lot of time sandblasting things.
stuff like that.
As the lot of you are exchanging pleasantries and in introductions, you see coming down the wooden staircase, Anton himself is coming down, heading towards you.
Oh, Anton, I believe the people you called are here.
Oh, lovely. They've already arrived. Excellent. To catch you chaps up to speed, there has been a bit of a theft in my office, and it's of a very valuable piece of equipment. And it's not equipment per se, it's more like an artifact, you understand? I was supposed to send it on to Queensport in Haldora today, but apparently someone broke up in here, presumably during the night, and has taken it. Now, I've gathered you all here, and my old friend Dieter, to try to figure out who took it, and if possible, get it back as soon as can be able. I don't want to involve the police, you understand. Corrupt as all business. And I'm willing to pay each of you $500 for the successful return of the piece. In fact, I'll give you $100 straight away right now to make sure that you take this job with all haste.
Sounds fair.
Nadia, I assume you have filled them in with all the details? No, sir. I was just talking to Dieter here. They don't know everything. Oh, that's quite all right, Nadia. If you'll go back to work, I'll take care of things here. And she kind of gives him a look, cigarette in her mouth, and strolls away. And now then, the item you're looking for is a rather well-machined brass globe. Now this globe here, I'm afraid I can't tell you too much about it. Essentially, it is a small, I say small, a rather small representation of Neris, of the whole planet, in a very great detail. It's a bit of a curio, but it's worth rather a lot of money, and my employers desperately need it back. Not that they know that it's missing, mind you.
And if we do our job, they will never know.
Yes, of course, very good. Yeah. Now, this piece is worth quite a lot, and I suspect that. Well, and he looks back over towards Nandi as she's walking away. Nandi is practically my right-hand woman. If she's responsible for this, then I don't think I know any person rightly well, you understand. I wouldn't put my sense of suspicion on her right away. Now, our friend...
Nadesh?
Yes, Mr. Bellow, my accountant. Now, I don't know the man all that well personally. I've had dealings with him regularly, of course, as part of the running of the business, but I understand that he's been a little bit rough lately. Not violent, mind you, just seems to be having a bit of a time. I've seen the last few occasions I've seen him, he's looked a little dishevelled.
Short-tempered.
No, but I could have sworn I smelled gin or whiskey or some such. I think perhaps he's heavily drinking, heavily medicating, perhaps. For what reason, I don't know. Frankly, I'm concerned that he's unable to facilitate his duties anymore. But I haven't seen him today, nor yesterday, for that matter.
He seems like a good place to start.
Yes. Did you get his address? I have it in
Yes.
the office. Oh, yeah, Nandi gave it to us, yes. Now, I understand also that from some conversation I had with Nandi about a week prior, concerned about Mr. Bellow, that he likes to have a drink now and then, which I think is more often now than then, in a place called the Drowned Rat. I wouldn't patronise it, mind you, but apparently it's quite a popular place for in the Weitai district.
Now, is it expensive? Is it because it's solid, or is it machined? Is there gears? What makes it so valuable? Is it detailed?
Well, frankly, I don't know terribly much about it. It is incredibly detailed. For a miniature representation of the whole planet, it is a remarkable piece of craftsmanship. And there's very little in terms of what you might call joints or separation points and everything. It looks, and I know that it's not, but it looks quite a bit like a full piece that was almost carved out of brass, in a way, like a sculpture. It's a remarkable piece.
Working with curves is always difficult for machines and metal.
Yes, indeed.
Well, I have been able to examine the safe. It has been detonated with TNT, consumer grade, so we're not dealing with old military hangovers, perhaps, which is good news. However, we may need to find a local expert to figure out anything more about this explosives they used.
Well, I don't mind giving it a second look.
Of course. hand you the little piece I found over. Especially if you are local, perhaps you may know where to go from here.
Sometimes I've had to procure my own bit of mining supplies.
Do you mean mining supplies or mining supplies?
Both.
That's 3 successes
Who's
to
successful?
look out.
Okay, very good. So you know that there are at least 3 traders in the Rosewater district, where you were earlier buying fruit, that would conceivably carry this kind of sort of repurposed mining equipment. You've got some leads.
This seems like some of the materials I found in Rosewater. There's about 3 shops.
Oh, Rosewater. Yes. We can buy just about anything there.
Good to know.
Sort of a bazaar, you understand. It's a big place with lots of
Yeah.
open-air markets and so on.
So maybe if we had some details about who we might think have bought it, we might be able to get some more leads.
Perhaps we go there after we find Nadesh. Or perhaps we don't find him.
Seems reasonable.
Well,
Excellent. Well, good luck, chaps, and I hope you'll return rather soon with the artifact. I would certainly put a great deal of stress away from my mind. Now, if you'll excuse me, I do have the rest of the company to run. At this
Right,
moment.
money first, right?
Oh, yeah, yes, of course. You see him open up his jacket pocket and distribute $100 to each of you. Nice. Now remember, there's another 400 in it for each one of you, if you can get that back very, very soon.
of course.
I told him it'd be soon.
Do you have a man you need to see about your money?
Oh, he'll get it. Due time.
I find it is often best to pay your debts as quickly as possible.
Oh, Dita pulls
Yeah.
out a small business card. There's the number of the company, the building. Should you need to get in contact with it again.
The telephone, yes?
Yes.
Thank you. We'll be in contact with you when we have any sort of information.
Excellent. And you see him, so he gives you a little brief wave and makes his way back up the wooden staircase back to his office.
Start kind of meandering towards the front door. So, if we are going after this man first, Nadesh, I suppose we start with his home. If no one is there, we go for a drink.
Sounds reasonable.
Sounds good.
Very well. I suppose we shall need to hail a cab of some sort.
Yeah, you do that.
I shall.
I hop on my motorcycle. I can carry one more.
Good for me. I can point you the way.
Very well.
Okay,
That's
so you catch the cab,
Yep.
and the two of you get in the sidecar
Right.
with the goggles. Great. That's a beautiful image.
Goggles on and also gas masks around the neck.
Okay.
Around the neck. Okay.
So a lot of you you're prepared for a trench warfare. So a lot of you are heading towards Nadesh's
residence.
Residence?
Yeah,
Cool.
the address I have in my hand.
Sure.
Follow the cabbie.
Get inside the cab, it peels off, and you, after about 5 minutes, you actually make it to the to Bella's apartment in a surprisingly run-down apartment block toward the dock area.
I'll throw just $5 at the driver.
You know, the taxis are going to rip him off. Kajani's not known for its
Fares.
Why
Yeah,
do you
fair
think
fares.
I always bring my own vehicle when I come to this place?
You have to haggle everything. Everything.
As you're approaching this apartment block, you can see that the plasterwork on the exterior is flaking and has dulled over time with age. As you make your way into the lobby area, the walls inside clearly need new paint. It's surprising that even in Sweet Hills, like this place looks a little run down.
This is kind of a shithole. Sure we're in the right place?
I'm not sure what you're used to, but yes, we're in the right place.
A couple of people in sort of various garb pass you by, and they all have the kind of look of people who are very careful not to get involved in other people's business. As you make your way up to the second floor and approach the number that you were given for Bella's apartment, you see that the door is ajar.
Immediately, like, hand to pistol, not drawing it yet.
Sure.
But it seems we are not the first here.
Right.
And
And I kicked the door open.
Oh, it's already open. You
Yeah.
get further open?
Yeah.
Okay.
knock it off its hinges.
The door swings open and slams against the inner wall. You
make a
see
hole in the
that
drywall.
as you're doing so, you notice that the lock on the door has already been broken. You see inside that the apartment has been tossed over. Drawers are left hanging open, papers strewn across the floor, and it looks like, given the state of the place, that it was probably done rather recently, because nothing seems to have been like things that have been poured over where liquids haven't dried up.
Mm-hmm.
You know, these are obviously like fresh monkeying being done.
Wonder what he was ransacked for. If he's not a part of their plan, as complicitly. Is it just for the keys?
It
Perhaps
would
he still
seem
has
somebody
it.
else has an interest
In him?
this,
Hmm.
in him, or maybe the object.
Well, let us make sure we're not alone here. And I'm going to head in a direction, just search the rest of the place.
You
look
make your
for
way through
open
the apartment,
windows.
which is a relatively small affair. You go
Mhm.
into sort of the living/kitchen area. You take a look under the sort of the bar counter. You make your way over to the left towards the bedroom door, and staring at you straight in the face is a piece of paper onto which some kind of crude message has been scrawled, and a knife pinning it to the bedroom door.
Yank the knife out and read the paper over.
You owe us, Bello. We'll be back.
You owe us, Bello? We'll be back.
Maybe it has nothing to do with us then. I suggest we check out the watering hole.
That would make sense. Let's make sure there's nothing else here to find.
Okay, we'll search the place.
Awareness checks.
Alright, Nat gives you +2 dice in that.
Yep.
Mhm.
That gives you another 2 dice, yeah. On top of what you would be getting for your stat.
I got the dice, but can you get it?
She's gone forever.
And again, depending on your training and awareness, your success range is bigger or smaller.
No successes.
3 successes.
Hey!
2.
Okay, so between the two of you, Mosi and Nadia, you realize that, Mosi, with your eye for sort of engineering detail, like the sort of mechanics of everything, you realize that this damage, this chaos done inside here, the damage, the ripped up upholstery and turned over pieces of furniture, the drawers left hanging open, this was clearly malicious and not methodical. This looks like someone was trying to send a message rather than to find
Search
something
something.
specific.
The valuables are kind of like still here. A lot of stuff that you would see ransacked.
Well, unfortunately, you don't see much in the way of valuables.
Yeah,
It's clearly
but
that he wasn't living very, very highly, but the place, just the haphazard nature of it, looks like
it's damage done, not searching.
Yes, looks like just pure maliciousness rather than like systematic. Is it in here? Is it in here? Is it in here? You notice, Nadia, that along the floor, actually there's one jutting out of an overturned chair. You pick up what looks like a matchbook. And this matchbook has what looks like a sort of a fishbowl symbol on it with the head of what looks like a mouse or a rat sticking out with its mouth agape. And it says the drowned rat, and gives a small address on the back.
So I love that.
Either of you know this place?
Yeah, that's the
That's the bar.
exactly where Nadesh would be. Now we have an address. That makes it a lot easier to find.
Definitely seems they were sending a message. They want their money.
Also, Nadia, because of your 3 successes, you hear what sounds like footsteps coming down the hall towards Bella's apartment.
Oh shit, there's somebody coming.
Hand back to gun.
I jump to the other side of a bed or something.
I jump on beside the door and draw a sword.
Okay. You hear what sounds like rough voices speaking in a foreign language. What you know, if you want to make a linguistics check,
What you know is...
see if you can identify it.
Oh, that's. I guess that is one success.
1 success? You can't quite pinpoint it, but that's a language of that's a Kajani language. Like, that's some local language. You hear men and women talking, and you hear the distinct sound, a lot of you, of what sounds like the hammer on a revolver being pulled back.
Are there any, windows we can pop out of?
There's a relatively small sort of double-paned window with dusty sort of panes of glass inside.
Gonna head over and just open that real quick. See how far of a drop we're looking at. If
Open
there's-
it up, you look down. That's probably 10 feet.
Not bad, but would prefer something nicer.
Sure.
I kind of quick glance at the two of you. See you out front, and slip out the window if I can.
Whee!
Yeah,
Are you going to jump out? Or are you going to climb down? Like, how are you going to do this?
climb out.
Okay. So that would be an athletics.
Come on, 3 dice. Things I probably
Totally.
should have trained.
It's only a 4-foot drop if you hang yourself
That's
from the
true.
window.
If you hang yourself, you don't have to worry about it.
Yeah,
'cause
exactly.
You're dead.
2 successes.
2 successes. Okay. So you climb out of the window. It's a little cramped, and you are sort of trying to find little chips and handholds in what is really just a sort of a flat, kind of dull stone wall. And you make it down about 5 feet, and then lose your footing and fall down. There's a little bit of pain in your ankle, but otherwise you're okay.
Then head out front and just lean against the wall, smoke, and wait for them to pop
You
out.
kidding me?
Good plan.
At that same time, you hear, you see, so are you like up against the doorway, or?
Yep. I'm right next to the door frame, and I got my back against it. And I'm just
Okay,
So, using the door as a shield, or on the opposite side of the door so you can
Opposite
see
side of
that?
the door.
yeah. So
Okay.
you're here. The door is swung open, and here's the right there. So looking out that way, you don't see anything. You hear it coming from over there, back where the staircase was, and you hear talking right next to you. Like, these people are going to come through that doorway any minute now.
Shoot him through the door. Shoot him through the door. Just stab him through the door.
What do you want to do?
I'm wanting to ready an attack.
Okay.
Not so much an attack, it's just the first guy that puts his head through the door just kind of put the sword to his throat.
Clothesline with the sword.
Oh, I see.
No,
So
no,
threaten him in a way.
Threaten,
Yeah,
yeah.
okay.
Not murder, threaten.
Very physical.
Threaten murder. There you go.
Okay. So, what do you want to do?
I'm gonna.
You got a matter of seconds.
I'm gonna grab the knife.
Oh, no,
Oh, you
I-
grabbed it?
I took that out of
Oh.
the door and then grabbed the note.
Because I wanted the knife.
You'll have to find me out front to get that knife.
So I'll duck and cover and get my pistol.
Behind the bed?
Yep.
Yeah. Which will provide you soft cover. Now, what that means is that when you do a defense roll, you've got 1d6 extra.
Cool.
Nice.
That makes sense?
Yep.
Where did that book go? Yes, there it is. All right, so this sort of burly-looking character with a light revolver in his hand, what is clearly what looks like a knife in a small sheath at his waist, comes barreling inside the Bellows' apartment with the gun drawn. He feels the cold blade at his neck, and then, almost without thinking, spins and fires at you.
Oh, jeez.
So, he is going to make a firearms check, and you're going to make a reflexes check.
But if the sword's there, wouldn't it be versus for melee? Because you said it would be versus their melee, right?
Because he's in
He's like engaged?
engaged range.
Technically, yes. Yeah.
Okay.
We're
If it's better
working
for
out
you.
the weirdness
That
of the
is
system.
better for me.
Yeah. So you'll roll, and your number of successes is the number it's going to be. Right.
Looks promising.
Two
No.
successes.
2 successes.
Yeah.
2
Out of 6 dice, 2 successes.
2 successes. Okay. So he will roll.
Below average for trained, but not by much.
Because it should be about half, but it should
Okay.
be a little less than half.
So he spins, fires reactively. It goes off, deafens you a little bit because the shot's so close, but it sticks in the back wall, clearly breaking up some drywall. And he realizes that he's missed and is basically at your mercy.
So it's gone from ha-ha to ho-ho.
Yes. To ho ho ho, Merry Christmas.
Does that look uniformed like a cop?
Now we need to roll for initiative.
Okay.
Alright, how do we do that?
So what that does is
Physique?
Right?
you roll your physique.
And it's as trained.
Correct.
Yes. Which means 4 to 6 is success. And you tell me what that number is.
1 success.
3 successes.
So, Mosi got 1 success, and Nadia got 3 successes.
Dieter got 1, but probably won't be going in.
Sure. And our friends.
Oh.
2 successes.
Okay, so Nadia, you're going first.
And I'm like, okay, I was willing to talk, buddy, but you're going to find out why mine's bigger than yours.
So you're going to attack
Yeah.
with your sword. Okay. Okay.
Gotta like wheel it back to get a good chop in.
There we go,
There you
3
go.
successes.
Yeah, 3 successes.
Here's your average.
So that's at least 1.
Over by 2, maybe?
Yeah, you definitely. Yeah, you beat that. So you're going to roll damage.
Okay, so for melee weapons, since I got a 4 physique, it's a +2 to damage.
4 divided by 3 rounded up.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Okay.
It's basically either a +1 or a +2.
Yep.
So you have to get 4 to get a +2.
9 damage.
9 damage. Okay.
That's what he's saying right now.
9.
So you sort of pull back on your blade. There's a quick cut to the throat, and you see him. It's like stagger backwards. You catch out of the corner of your eye that he falls back against the opposing wall, right in the hallway, and then you instantly hear what looks like like shouts, and you hear guns being cocked, and gunfire starts firing into the doorway. Okay, and speaking of that gunfire, please roll reflexes.
Alright. As my second action, though,
Oh, that's right. You've got another action. Yeah, go ahead.
could I dive for cover?
Yes, of course you can. Yeah, so that's your secondary action, diving for cover. So you managed to take some cover behind, some sort of overturned
Dresser.
furniture. That's going to give you plus 1d6 when you're defending. So if you'll roll with your reflexes, plus 1d6. Tell me how many successes you got.
2.
2 successes. Okay. So they're trying to beat 2 successes.
Did you add your 1d6?
Yeah.
Shot goes wide, breaks off a piece of wood for an overturned sort of side table. nearby. The bullet comes heading your way. If you will roll reflexes, again, plus 1d6 because of your cover. How many successes?
So that's 3 successes.
3 successes. Okay.
They're all 6s.
Nice.
6, 6, 6.
Another. So the shot, he goes, and you can see a sort of a burst of stuffing and feathers as the bullet goes through and hits the wall. Now it is Mosi's turn.
I'll come up, aim, is
Like over the. Yeah.
on the bed, and just like fire the pistol. Is aim plus 1d6?
Yeah, that's your secondary action. That would give you a plus 1d6.
Does that remove you from cover?
Technically, yes.
Okay.
So that's 3
way to-
successes.
So they're going to
Balance fighting.
I'm getting a lot of 6s on my special die.
I mean,
Oh,
they
no,
are.
that's a 5.
They
That's a
are
5.
your dice.
That's a 5, not a 6.
So how many successes you get?
3.
No. No contest. So, so you're rolling damage.
So that's 10.
Woof. So you see did you see this female thug with a bandana over her face pop out almost like Lethal Enforcers, get like video game style, pop out and try to shoot you. You peg her in like the throat, and she's instantly killed. Yeah. She slumps into the hallway and drags a bloody smear on the wall. Dieter. So you're outside. You're having a cigarette. Roll to resist cancer.
Yep. There is no way to resist.
Nadia, you're back up.
You can try, but the
So you've just
success
seen
rate is a
Mosi
7.
peg one of them and clearly incapacitates him, if not kills him.
How's the one I hit with the sword looking?
He's got a hand clutched to his throat. And he's trying to make his way He's making his way away from the doorway with his gun still out, trying to like get away, get some cover, do anything.
Okay.
So you'd have to move into the hallway to meet him if you wanted to strike him with a melee.
But there's nobody else that I can possibly shoot at.
I mean, if you leaned over the other side and like took a pot shot, yeah, absolutely, you could shoot at the other two.
All right. No, I'm gonna.
You got a clear shot at the guy you just cut. I mean, obviously, because you used since the door is that way and you were against that side, you're looking over at him like, oh, he's right there. Oh, fuck you, and he's already on the defensive. But the other two, you could just pop out and.
Okay, so there's 3.
Or you could put your hand around and do like
So,
a blind fire.
Yeah, 3 left.
So
Looks like there's 3 left, including one that had his throat cut.
All right, I'm gonna charge the guy that has his throat cut.
Okay, all right.
Nice.
So that's your primary attack.
kick him off your saber.
The target is
Bounce
within
him
10
against the
plus
wall.
your physique yards, definitely.
Yeah.
Move and attack, and you get 1d6 on top of that.
Nice. So you get 5. Oh, you get 7.
Yeah, 7.
You have to beat a 1.
You got 2.
I believe in you.
I actually got 2. Yeah.
Yay! There we go. So roll for damage. So that's your sword's damage plus your plus 2 from the physique. All right.
Does extra successes add damage, or
No.
it's just?
12 damage.
Well, oof. So
Seems
you
good, seems good.
rush forward with your blade, and you pin this guy to the wall. Essentially, it goes through sort of his what looks like a lung. It's this general area, goes through and sort of pins him towards the back wall, almost like almost in a pattern with his other fellow thug who is now slumped on the floor dead. Unfortunately, you now realize that your sword is now stuck in the wall, and there are 2 people on the opposite side with their guns drawn, ready to shoot you.
You'll be fine.
Speaking of which, they're going to shoot at you.
I still have another action.
You have a secondary action, yes.
All right.
Oh yeah, because it gets you the move too to charge.
That's the good thing about charge, is that you can move as well as part of the action.
You can be like, oh shit, dive for cover.
Or draw your pistol and prepare to fight.
Yeah, I'll leave my sword stuck in the guy,
Okay.
into the ball, and I'll dive for cover.
So dive back into the room or something?
Yeah, and I got a quick draw holster, so I'll draw my gun.
Sure, yeah, okay. So you see this and you're like, nope. Jump back into the room and pull your gun out. Okay, so now because you're inside the room and they're back in the hallway, if they try to shoot at you, you've got hard cover, so that's 2d6. Right.
Nice.
Okay, so now the two thugs you hear shouting after you, get her! And you see one of them, you hear the discharge of a weapon, and actually they're trying to shoot through the relatively thin wall at you. So they're going to fire the light revolver. Let's see. So if you will roll reflexes,
+2.
plus 2d6, yeah. You tell me how many successes you got.
3?
3.
3. Okay. Okay. So they... Yeah, I was like at that point. They're only rolling 2d6, so there's no way.
Good.
So you hear a firing noise, and you hear what sounds like basically behind your ear, like a thump. But it looks like the bullet doesn't actually penetrate the wall. The other thug actually rushes up and tries to make it sort of like, not quite do a SWAT turn, but sort of like flop over on the other side, on the opposite side of the doorway from the hallway, and like fire inward. So you don't benefit from cover on this one, but you can roll your reflexes and determine the difficulty.
So that's 2 difficulty.
Two successes necessary. Okay, let's see.
Have a chance.
Nope, no go. All right. He sort of thuds against the wall and fires, goes wide. You see what looks like a sconce or something, like the glass shatters behind you. Mosi, you're actually up next. You've got a pretty decent shot at this guy who is on the opposite side of the doorway. It's like stuck his arm out a little bit.
I'll aim again and shoot. So that's 4. That's 3.
Yeah, you've handily beat him. So roll for damage.
You're not rolling well today.
Well, I don't think it's that they're rolling well enough. It's that we're rolling okay. Like, we're getting 3 successes. So that's 6, 10.
All right. So you fire. Your aim's a little wide, so you end up firing towards sort of where the wall hits the doorway, sort of the threshold, and you hear what sounds like a and you realize that the shot that you made has gone through the wall and struck him in probably the chest area, center mass area. You hear what sounds like a heavy thud. Dieter? You still enjoying that cigarette?
Yep. Just kind of like
You're hearing the
Tap it.
gunshots in the...
Yeah.
I think I'm
Tap
gonna
it
yell,
against the
we've got you
building."
surrounded. And I'm like, yeah, because Dieter's on the front.
tap it against the building, kind of looking up.
Nadia, you're back up. So the guy, from your perspective, you just saw that guy take a bullet basically in the chest and then fall backwards dead. So you realize that there's one guy, now that he's like around the corner of the threshold in the hallway.
Is talking the free action?
Yeah.
Alright. Are you ready to give up? We do got you surrounded.
There's a moment of like sort of tense silence. And you hear what sounds like very methodical footsteps backing up away from the doorframe.
What are they even here for? They're coming back for their
You
debts?
hear what sounds like the uncocking and then running away downstairs.
+1, Dieter.
Well, I'm going to get my sword. So I go out there, put my foot on the guy's chest, and pull it out.
Give me an athletics check, please. Actually, because it's give me a
To break ribs.
Brawn would it be on this one?
I'll
'Cause
allow
you're
brawn.
physically
Yeah.
trying to pull that out?
So
Yeah.
because not only is it stuck in the guy, it's also stuck in the wall behind him.
Well, let's see
Got
how
that
that
Break,
happens.
break the rib. Break the ribs. The foot.
2 successes.
You only needed one, so and he slumps to the ground. A little bit of blood trickling out of his mouth.
Kind of flick the blood off of it and sheath it. Holster my gun. Well, that was fun.
I go to the window, look down, I'm like, yeah, I'm getting a little flashbacks from the war. Woo!
All right. Now, breathe. Yeah. All right. Let's go find Meter. Yeah.
Careful, they're running down the stairs. I'm like yelling out the window.
I mean, I went around to the front,
Oh,
so
went
that
out
might
to the
be
front.
might be a bit of a yell. Yeah.
So,
Because I thought you were
yelled out the
stopping.
window.
No.
Nobody's
I went
there.
around to the front of the building, so if anybody runs out, it's
You
like,
do see a rough-looking figure with like a speckle of blood across his cheek, with his arm in his jacket, like rushing down the street outside of the apartment block and just booking it.
As soon as I get out there, I look right at you and yell, "Did you get the one that got away?"
You want me to stop these people?
Yeah, don't worry about it.
Crap. They probably could have told us something.
I mean, we can still chase after them. They're running,
It's just a fucking loan shark.
presumably.
You hear the telltale sound of police sirens.
We should
Just-
leave. We should leave now.
Indeed. Well, how about a drink after a rousing brawl?
Right.
The right
Cigarette
might
out.
have to wait.
Sounds good. Okay, I wanna stop there because I haven't eaten yet.
Oh yeah. Get some
Quite a
food.
while. So.
If the food is ready, I can get to you.
I would like to eat it.
I can't tell.
I do like the mechanics of the system, and there's something about like a truly cosmopolitan area without this world's stereotypes imposed upon it that
Right.
really feels kind of freeing when it comes to like doing impersonations.
Right.
I'm
Yeah.
picking up like, since it sounds like such a cosmopolitan country for Lithuania, I'm like just kind of that rolling European,
Yeah.
a little bit of everything thrown
Mhm.
in there.
Mhm.
Gets to be kind of a fun accent to try out.
Yeah, the nations are specifically they're kind of patterned after certain countries to a broad extent, but like it's such a mixing pot, and because the world is literally not our Earth, like there's just so much that you can like just fiddle with to bake to make
It's a
what you
little
want
this,
it
a
to be.
little that. But
And there's like
their origins. Or
most
knowledge.
of this book, like which is like 80 something pages or whatever. Most of this book is like, here's the history of the world and the nations and all this stuff like that. So like, if you wanted to get into it, like there's a whole timeline and everything.
There's a lot to get.
Specifically, this one starter adventure that's available. It looks like the system like never really took off, and so it's not just one of those things that people aren't really using. Was specifically in a place where like none of all that stuff really matters right now because you're in this cosmopolitan Casablanca-esque sort of place. It was interesting. It's kind of like it's adjacent to Mini 6 and D6 in a way that like it's slightly different, but it feels familiar, right? And I wanted to play it because of the diesel punk setting, and also because I heard that I saw an article about what was the property? That's right. There's going to be a new Zorro game.
Oh.
And it's going to be developed by Gallant Knight Games, who are responsible for this like tiny D6 games and stuff like that.
Mm-hmm.
And they apparently now have the license to do a new version of the West End Games D6 system. And so their Zorro game is like their first version of this D6 second edition kind of thing. And what they're planning on doing is taking the kinks of the West End Games old, like Star Wars D6 system, and like sanding it down and like making it streamlined. So I'm excited to see.
What they do.
I'm interested to see like how they tackle those challenges.
Combat was fun. I enjoyed that.
They keep it kind of light and straightforward, despite like the roll versus roll. It still went quick.
Yeah.
That's because the numbers aren't high. You're just looking like, oh, my 3 beats are 2, and like that makes sense.
Yeah. I've always felt that with the D6 system, like the number of successes is a lot better than like adding the D6s together.
Sure. Yeah.
Yeah, that math. Ooh. The moment you're rolling like 4d6, it's probably taking too long to tally it up. So yeah, successes always feels a little bit better.
Yep.
Gets rid of some of the granularity, but that can be a good thing. Don't worry about it.
It's always been easy for me to find that quick sight of finding out how many successes you've had. It's a lot simpler to me.
Oh, Jesus.
I appreciated the way that it handled the skill system, and it was like really lightweight in that it was like it just expands your success range. I thought it was interesting.
And still feels like there's plenty of things you can get as like reward or build up as time goes on. It's going to be, comparatively less when you compare it to something like the Call of Cthulhu system where you have thousands of points you could potentially gain. But
You won't live that long.
exactly. Like, you will be able to enjoy your character as is. I'd be curious, what's their rate of gaining like character points? Is it per adventure, per session? Do you know?
Because I'm wondering what the progression would actually be like.
Off the top of my head, I don't, but I know I glanced at the page. I know.
I'd imagine it would be somewhat slowish with the costs on things.
Yeah.
Like, I could see 1 or 2 points per adventure would probably feel all right.
It wouldn't, because there's not very much to.
It's gain another skill,
Expand
master
on.
a skill, or boost those primaries. But yeah, that's
You get experience at the end of the adventure, whatever that may be. You get 2 points for completing the adventure, and then from there you might get extra XP for completing it with style, role playing your character well, defeating a major adversary, solving a difficult puzzle, or learning something new. And that's per adventure.
Nice. That's got a good pace to it.
And you could earn 1 or 2 Moxie points at the end of your session, depending on, or at the end of an adventure, excuse me, as an additional reward, depending on,
Other factors.
other
Yeah.
factors. Yeah.
Oh, neat. It's got a good feel to it. I like it. It's lightweight enough with still enough crunch to be enjoyable. It gives you just a little bit of that extra in combat. That's nice.